Hello and welcome to this episode of the Energy Connects podcast with me, Chiranjib Sengupta. As electricity becomes an increasing part of the energy mix, with a focus on decarbonization and energy efficiency, what role do utilities have to play in progressing the energy transition? Last month, at the Energy Connect studio in Abu Dhabi, I sat down with Claudio Golino, partner at Deloitte, to discuss more on this. Have a closer look. Thank you so much, Claudio, for being with us in the studio.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here with you at the World Utilities Congress.
Thank you. Now, at Deloitte, you have a global platform to observe how the energy transition is progressing. So, what are your perspectives and observations on how it's evolving across different parts of the power value chain?
Thanks. This is quite a broad question deserving an articulated answer. But before diving into how utilities are dealing with the energy transition, let's frame the bigger picture. Actually, electricity represents today just 20-25% of the total energy consumption mix. Actually, fossil fuels are still leading the scene. Global consumption of coal, oil and gas reached their peak during 2024. So actually, in order to reduce CO2 emissions and progress toward decarbonization, we really need a global and coordinated effort to electrify the final energy consumption. Now, let's talk about utilities. We see four relevant and connected forces pushing change. The first, decarbonization, which lies at the very heart, see utilities receiving mounting pressure from regulators, investors, and clients to meet more and more sustainable targets. Then we have decentralization with the increase of distributed generation and energy storage system. Democratization with consumers being more and more active thanks to the availability of data and the possibility to become themselves as producers. And finally, digitization with a massive injection of technology and data across the whole system. Now let's see how these forces are shaping the value chain. In power generation, we are seeing massive investment in renewable. Last year, we had an excess of $700 billion in investment, mainly in wind 60% and solar 30%. Wind offshore is still a bit behind because of higher installation cost, higher infrastructure cost, but it's promised to gain traction due to some technological and supply chain improvement and with the promise of high energy output. Also, CCGT plants are steadily increasing in capacity, clearly positioning gas as the transitioning source toward the decarbonization of the fleet. Also, nuclear is becoming more important with capacity increasing, but now all the discussion it's all about small modular reaction technology. That's quite promising, and even I would say the more prudent countries are now willing to explore this possibility, but it will take decades before to see actually this technology within the electricity mix. In retail, on the other side, we see a clear divide between markets. In unbundled markets, we see utilities having a great pressure from competition. That's why they started to offer beyond commodity services, including energy efficiency, connectivity, smart home products, even insurance products. All these represent additional revenue stream, but an effective way to fidelize clients and reduce churn rate. On the other side, in bundled market, where utilities are still vertically integrated and there is limited competition, it seems they are more focused on operational excellency and long-term infrastructure planning. So that's a clear reason why vertically integrated utilities with grid within their asset are investing majority of their capex in grid modernization, as this being regulated sector will allow them recurrent and predictable returns across the years.
Now, like you said, it's a very, very comprehensive outline. And a couple of factors that always come up in these discussions. One is the rise of AI and data centers and how they're impacting the energy demand. And second is obviously geopolitics. How do you see these dynamics affecting the strategies of utilities today?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So actually utilities are navigating a complex landscape that is featured also by geopolitical tension, trade policy, and the rise of new emerging demand. We have a very relevant event such as war and new trade tariffs, and even if they are completely different and not comparable, they have somehow the same effect of bringing energy security and supply chain diversification really at the top of the agenda. Countries that are not self-sufficient are investing more and more in domestic capacity and supply chain diversification to increase their autonomy. Furthermore, we have the rise of AI data center and electrification of key sectors that are bringing new relevant workload on the grid. Actually, data center represent today just 2% of the electrification of the electricity demand worldwide. And as Deloitte, we believe that this share will nearly double by 2030, driven by power-intensive Gen AI workloads. And very likely nuclear will be the target source to meet this demand thanks to its stable energy output and low emissions. So utilities are need to be prepared for this change, keep investing in power capacity, in green modernization and digitization, but also in energy demand management. So it means that we'll have to be more proactive, more flexible, having able to balance both short-term resiliency with long-term transformation goals.
I think that's an excellent point. And we are here in Abu Dhabi at the World Utilities Congress. Let's turn our focus on the region. How are you seeing the energy transition progress and the market dynamics evolve, particularly here in the UAE?
Yeah, here in UAE we are seeing an impressive momentum when it comes to energy transition that is underpinned by massive investments both in power generation and in distribution. We see flagship solar projects among the two largest globally, and nuclear that is already operational is expected to further increase in the coming years. In grid, we see massive initiative in advanced management, in smart grid technology, and there is the exploration of large energy storage system to enhance grid resiliency and responsiveness. And before we commented about geopolitical tensions, well, actually here in UAE stands out for its resiliency. So it's very stable country with the possibility to have a bold vision and decisive action in execution. Also regarding data center, it's public news that here in Abu Dhabi we will have the Stargate data center massive initiative, fueled by investment of big tech and hyperscalers. This will be among the largest data center globally when realized. That will require an impressive 5 gigawatt power capacity to be operated at regime. So this will require a massive power that again will be likely met by nuclear increase. So this is quite a positive perspective for utilities here in UAE, but not only. Also, if we consider the larger picture, the broader picture, when it comes to GDP, here we expect to have a 4% increase in 2025 compared to the global average of around 2.8. So it means that UAE is quite attractive, and that's also why as Deloitte we are considering in high regard this strategic region with people coming from all around our North-South Europe region to stay here to contribute to this growth with a proximity base.
Absolutely, and it's such a fantastic progress. Now, if we talk about the globally, like how you see and observe, and what you just shared with us, it's a very fast-moving and very complex scenario that's playing out there. From Deloitte's side, how are you helping utility companies navigate that landscape?
Well, as Deloitte, we are able to support utilities across the whole value chain, helping them in plan, build, operate, and evolve across the rapidly changing environment that we command. while leveraging a broad set of multidisciplinary capabilities. As, for example, in smart energy and system planning, we can help utilities introducing advanced forecast and scenario modeling, helping them to make informed and forward-looking decisions for their strategic investment. Or we can bring deep expertise in capital project delivery when utilities are facing large and critical infrastructure development. So we can help them in project structuring, contracting, risk management to meet a cost-effective execution while being on time and on quality. Or in smart grid and smart operations, we can help embedding intelligence into operations with innovative solutions, or also contributing to digitize the field workforce management in order to make them increase operational agility. And finally, when it comes to customer program, thanks also to AI, we can help utilities in design and implement impactful experience for their final clients across the whole customer journey with an omni-channel approach, hybridizing both physical and digital touchpoints. Ultimately, as Deloitte, we strive to be a trusted advisor and nice to work with partner for our clients, helping them to shape their agenda and delivering best solutions and services to address their strategic goals.
Thank you, Claudio, for your valuable insights, and thanks very much for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining, and I hope you've really enjoyed this episode of the Energy Connects podcast. What were your key takeaways? We'd be glad to hear your feedback. Let us know in the comments below, or feel free to reach out at editorial@energyconnects.com. You can get more podcast episodes like this and comprehensive coverage of the energy industry at energyconnects.com. I'll be back with more episodes of the Energy Connects podcast. Stay tuned.